Hello everybody. In this video, I will talk about writing internship report. Internship is the process which enables interns to develop professional skills required to adapt the environment of organizations. Internship provides learning opportunity for both students and non-students. Internship enables one to evaluate his or her skills, knowledge which he or she has learned, developed with time in college, schools, etc. Internship can be of different durations. It depends on the organization that is providing internet, and it depends upon the individual also. Both students and non-students perform some tasks and activities at the organization where he had joined for internship during their internship period. Where, Wherever possible, the interns will be using their knowledge, skill to perform tasks and activities given to them, or they learn from other employees of the organization about doing those tasks and activities. So basically, internship report is a summarization of working experience of interns. Now let's talk about the contents that the internship report should have. First, in the report, intern has to provide information mentioning following points. First, intern have to state what is his or her purpose of doing internship. For example, to learn work culture of the organization, to know how business process of organization performed, can be the purpose of interns for doing internship. In case of the IT students, the purpose may be to understand the software deployment process, tools and techniques used to write programs, to know if his or her knowledge, skill learned in campus or some other place is adequate or not. These things have to be mentioned in brief in the introductory chapter. What were the procedures the intern followed to get internship? That is interesting one. These days it is difficult to get internship. So interns may have to do lots of work to get the internship. But basically, interns will start finding internship using search engines. Interns can find internship organization by searching in search engines like Google, or they may be recommended by their seniors, colleagues, teachers, etc. Interns may have to face interview. There are lots of organizations which will provide internship only after doing scrutiny of their students. So they will be conducting interviews. In this first chapter, interns have to mention exact duration of internship, stating starting and ending date. If the internship is ongoing, just mention start date and write internships ongoing. It is still going on. Generally, internship reports are written after the completion of internship. So it will be better to list tasks that have been performed during the internship in bullet point. It is not necessary. Do not elaborate those points in the introductory chapter. In the second chapter, organization where the internship was performed is explained. Intern do not have to write too many paragraphs or too many pages to introduce the organization. Just provide the brief introduction of the organization, answering following questions. What was the type of organization? Is it private, government, NGO, travel and tourism related organization, etc. So simply mention what is the type of organization, write the name of the organization where the internship is performed, location, address, when the organization was established. If that information can be got, it will be better to mention. Then mention how many employees are there, what are the main tasks and activities performed by the organization. The organization will have goals and objective. It will be better if you can write goals and objective organization, then the working hour, when the office starts and when the office ends, what are the natures of the customers that are served by that organization. Then if possible, also mention organizational charts. Organizational chart showing the hierarchy of the management. What are the posts exist within the organization? Show the levels of those posts in that organizational chart. In the next chapter, introduce the industry in which that internship organization belongs to. What is that industry about? There are several different kinds of industries like food and beverage, finance, travel and tourism, entertainment, software, hospitality, medical, security, etc. So, the organization in which the intern is performed is part of which industry. Clearly mention that and write about that industry in brief. When was that industry started? How? What are the tasks and objectives, goals of establishing that industry? That will be better to mention. For example, in case of the financial industry, it is known that it deals with money matters. So mention that financial industry deals with money matters. It helps people to deposit money, provide loans. It helps business organizations by providing loans. In return, it will get interest. For depositors, it provide interest, etc. Mention like that. And in case of the software industry, it is known fact software industry is concerned with software development, software selling. So mention what are the different tasks other than developing software, selling software that can be part of the software industry. What are the nature of customers that is served by that industry? In case of the finance and banking industry, borrowers, depositors, business persons are served. Similarly, in case of the software industry, government, non-government organizations, or even individuals are also served. And try to figure out how many different organizations have been established under that industry. In case of the banking sector, there may be 20, 28 organizations, banks, or including other small financial institutes, there will be many more. In case of software engineers, try to get the tentative number at least. Now, in another chapter, you mention tasks and activities performed during the internship period. Intern may have performed only one or more kinds of tasks during whole internship period. Whatever it may be, just explain those tasks clearly. Those tasks were initially mentioned in the first chapters. Now it is time to elaborate, describe those tasks and activities. So first write were the tasks about. What was that tax about? In case the financial industry, interns do work like customer service where they have to deal with the customer about creating account, where they have to help customers in generating statements, checks, etc. Then mention what kind of knowledge skill was required to execute those tasks and activities. For example, in case of banking organization, intern may be given tasks of printing checks, statements for customers. So how to print the checks, statements are done, have to be written clearly. What are the steps that have to be followed? Which module of the banking software have to be used? What are the input that those software modules need to perform those tasks? To print checks, to print statement, what are the inputs that have to be given? How to use the printers? These steps have to be clearly described. And interns working in software industry may involve in user interface design, communicating with clients, database design. For those interns, mention how those tasks are performed. What are the tools and techniques that were required to use or develop those user interfaces, to develop databases or middleware, how to communicate with the clients, how complicated or easy it is for communicating with clients. Mention these things clearly. Also mentions what are the hurdles, issues you found during your working, how those hurdles, issues you solved. Okay, then mention how was the task, was it easy, was it tough, boring, interesting, etc. Interns were the whatever knowledge skills interns have were sufficient to execute their tasks and activities, or additional skills were required. Mention these things. Did you get any kind of help from employees? Basically, interns are helped by other employees of the organizations. So also mentions how the employees helped you, in which tasks and activities you took help from the employees. So these are the basic things which you have to elaborate in the tasks and activities performed chapter. In the conclusion section, that is the last part of the report, in the last part, just you write your internship experience. Mention or list what are the tasks and activities you performed, Was your knowledge, skill, whatever you gained before doing the internship, help to perform the tasks and activities or not? How was the nature of the tasks? How was the working environment of the organization? That means where the employees were cooperative or not, where the uh, environment of the organization helpful for you or not. Mention these things. How was the internship? Explain your experience. Did you like the internship period? Did you able to learn something or not? Or you did not like it? Provide appropriate reasons why you did not like doing internship in that particular industry, in that particular organizations. Okay, now let's talk about the probable internship questions. In the presentation of your internship report, you will be asked different kinds of questions. So some of the possible questions are: how was your internship experience? Was knowledge, skill which you have were sufficient to work in real world organization or not? How was the structure work culture of organization? Was the organization hierarchy strict, fluid, flexible? Were the environment cooperative to work? Another question may be: how was the employees of the organizations? Were they cooperative? Were they interesting? Or were they boring? Who are the clients of organization? In case of bank, customers, depositors, borrowers, etc. In case of software company, government organizations, or even individuals, private organizations can be their clients. In case of marketing or software development, interns can be also asked, how will you sell product? So to answer this, you have to focus on the features of the product and relate those features to the problems of customer as solutions. But these are not the limited questions. There may be many more questions. Okay, thank you for listening and do well in your presentation. Thank you very much for listening me.